Throughout history, people have celebrated life's greatest moments with lavish parties, sometimes to an extreme. These events were not just gatherings, but spectacles of power, excess, and entertainment. Some were royal affairs, others religious ceremonies, but all share a reputation for their opulence and wildness. Get ready for a journey through history's craziest parties. These weren't just any ordinary celebrations. Nope, these were feasts and festivals that took extravagance to a whole new level, from naval punch bowls to fiery costumes. Let's dive into some of the wildest parties of all time. First up, Admiral Russell's One Drink to Rule Them All. In 1694, the British naval commander, Admiral Edward Russell, threw what is likely the most extravagant party in naval history. As the commander of the British Mediterranean Fleet, he hosted an epic celebration that became famous for one outrageous feature, an enormous punch bowl. This wasn't your typical punch, though. It was a colossal mix of rum, brandy, lemons, and spices, so massive that sailors had to row a boat inside to stir it. The punch, set in a fountain centerpiece, flowed freely as guests drank, danced, and reveled in excess all night. The logistics were astonishing. Thousands of lemons, pounds of sugar, and barrels of alcohol were required to create this mammoth drink. The punch bowl itself was essentially a small lake, refilled continuously to keep the party going. But the real kicker, this wasn't just a leisurely gathering, it took place during wartime. Imagine the scene, a sprawling deck on a British warship, musicians playing, sailors and officers laughing, and a gigantic bowl of punch as the centerpiece of it all. The whole event was designed not just for fun, but as a display of wealth, power, and, of course, naval superiority. Belshazzar's feast is one of the most infamous parties in biblical history, an event that symbolized arrogance and foretold the downfall of the Babylonian Empire. In 539 BCE, Belshazzar, the co-regent of Babylon, held a lavish banquet despite the fact that his city was under siege by the Persians.
To flaunt his supposed invincibility, he drank from sacred vessels looted from the temple in Jerusalem, a blasphemous act that would soon be met with divine retribution.
According to the book of Daniel, in the midst of the revelry, a mysterious hand appeared and began writing on the palace wall, delivering a cryptic message, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. The king was terrified, but none of his wise men could interpret the message.
Finally, Daniel, a Jewish exile, was brought in to decode the writing. His interpretation was ominous. The message foretold the end of his reign and the fall of Babylon.
That very night, the city was overtaken by the Persians, and Belshazzar was killed, marking the collapse of the once mighty Babylonian Empire. The banquet, intended to be a show of strength and luxury, became a symbol of arrogance. Belshazzar's disregard for both the divine and the dangers surrounding him led to his swift demise. This story serves as a powerful reminder of how arrogance, even in the face of impending doom, can lead to disaster. In ancient Egypt, festivals were more than religious rituals. They were massive public celebrations. One of the wildest was the Festival of Drunkenness, dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of love, joy, and fertility.
This festival, which traces back to the Middle Kingdom, was marked by extreme drinking, ritual dancing, and music.
The Egyptians believed that Hathor could transform into a vengeful lioness and destroy humanity when angered. To keep her benevolent, participants mimicked the myth where Hathor was tricked into drinking red beer, thinking it was blood, calming her wrath.
During the festival, people of all social classes, commoners and elites alike, would drink themselves into a stupor, symbolizing a return to cosmic order.
Wine and beer flowed freely, and while the festival had religious undertones, it often spiraled into chaos, with participants collapsing in drunken euphoria. The ritual had deeper meaning, signifying renewal, fertility, and harmony, but also showcased the Egyptians' connection to both the divine and indulgence.
Imagine an entire city participating, with musicians playing, dancers moving through the streets, and cups of wine passed around endlessly.
Though the festival was a way to maintain cosmic balance, for many it was a chance to let loose and celebrate life under the protection of the gods. Fast forward to January 28, 1393, and find yourself at the opulent court of Queen Isabeau of Bavaria in Paris.
What was intended to be a splendid masquerade ball, known as the Bal des Ardents, or Ball of the Burning Men, quickly spiraled into a scene of horrific disaster.
This infamous event not only marks one of the most bizarre and tragic episodes in medieval royal history, but also offers a glimpse into the opulence and peril that often accompanied courtly celebrations.
The Bal des Ardents was initially conceived as a grand celebration, held to mark a joyous occasion, a royal wedding.
Queen Isabeau, known for her taste for grandeur, had envisioned an extravagant masquerade ball where guests could revel in elaborate costumes and festive cheer.
King Charles VI of France, a monarch infamous for his mental instability, joined in the merriment alongside 5 noblemen.
These nobles donned elaborate costumes designed to resemble wild men or mythical beasts. The costumes, meant to add to the masquerade's allure, turned out to be a catastrophic choice. As the festivities progressed, the dancers, enveloped in their highly flammable costumes, joined in a lively dance.
Tragically, a torch, held as part of the masquerade's decor, accidentally ignited one of the costumes. The highly flammable tar and pitch quickly spread the flames, engulfing the men in a horrifying blaze.
4 of the dancers were tragically burned alive in the inferno, their costumes turning them into human torches.
The Duchess, recognizing the immediate danger, threw her cloak over the king, extinguishing the flames and saving his life.
The aftermath of the Bal des Ardents was one of shock and mourning.
The horror of the event deeply scarred the French nobility, leaving a stain on Queen Isabeau's reputation.
The masquerade, intended to celebrate a happy occasion, instead became a dark and memorable chapter in the history of French royal festivities.
The Ball of the Burning Men earned its name through the horrifying events that unfolded, forever etching its place in the annals of history as one of the most bizarre and tragic royal events ever recorded.
What was meant to be a joyous celebration instead became a grim historical footnote, illustrating the unforeseen consequences that can arise from even the most carefully planned festivities. Let's take a trip to 1720 China for the Manchu Han Imperial Feast. The Manchu Han Imperial Feast, hosted by the Kangxi Emperor of the Qing dynasty, is considered one of the most lavish and opulent banquets in Chinese history. This grand event was not just a feast, but a grand theatrical display of imperial power, cultural unity, and culinary splendor. Let's delve into the details of this extraordinary event and explore its significance. The Manchu Han Imperial Feast of 1720 lasted several days, during which over 300 dishes were served. This grand spectacle was more than a mere meal. It was an embodiment of the Qing dynasty's opulence and the emperor's political acumen. The feast showcased the vast resources of the empire and its culinary diversity, with dishes that spanned from the ordinary to the extraordinary. The feast included delicacies such as Peking duck, roasted whole camels, bear paws, ape's lips, rhinoceros tails, shark fin soup, leopard fetuses, and birds' nests, showcasing the culinary diversity of the empire. Nothing was off limits. This wasn't just a meal, it was a culinary showdown, showcasing the best of Manchu and Han traditions. The Manchu ruling class and the Han majority, despite their different backgrounds, were united in their appreciation of the lavish spread. The menu reflected a blend of both Manchu and Han tastes, creating a culinary showdown that highlighted the diverse influences within the empire. Each dish was meticulously prepared, emphasizing not just flavor, but also the artistry involved in its presentation. During the feast, servants worked tirelessly to replenish plates, ensuring that the flow of food, drink, and entertainment remained uninterrupted. This constant replenishment of delicacies created an atmosphere of abundance and indulgence. The guests enjoyed a nearly non-stop culinary experience, reinforcing the emperor's status and the grandeur of the Qing court. The Manchu Han Imperial Feast was more than just a display of wealth. It was a theatrical performance intended to reinforce the emperor's dominance over a vast and culturally diverse empire. Nobility and officials from across the land attended the event, which was meticulously orchestrated to showcase the emperor's prestige and power. The feast was a public demonstration of the Qing dynasty's control and sophistication, blending traditional Chinese culinary practices with the imperial grandeur of the Qing rulers. The feast became a lasting symbol of the cultural fusion that the Qing dynasty prided itself on. It was a celebration of both Manchu and Han traditions, reflecting the empire's ability to harmoniously integrate diverse cultural elements. The Manchu Han Imperial Feast was not only a display of culinary excellence, but also a testament to the empire's commitment to unity and cultural sophistication. In retrospect, the Manchu Han Imperial Feast of 1720 stands as a vivid reminder of the Qing dynasty's grandeur and the emperor's ability to command and celebrate the diverse traditions within his empire. It was a feast that transcended mere dining, becoming a powerful symbol of imperial opulence and cultural integration that continues to capture the imagination of historians and enthusiasts alike. In 1520, Europe bore witness to one of the most opulent and memorable spectacles of the Renaissance, the Field of the Cloth of Gold. This grand event, held near Calais, France, was not merely a political summit but a breathtaking display of wealth, rivalry, and extravagance orchestrated by two of the era's most illustrious rulers, King Henry VIII of England and King Francis I of France. Although initially intended to solidify an alliance between these two powerful kings, the gathering evolved into a dazzling exhibition of grandeur and competition that would leave an indelible mark on history. The name Field of the Cloth of Gold itself conjures images of unparalleled opulence. The event earned its name from the remarkable temporary palaces constructed for the occasion. These structures were draped entirely in cloth of gold, creating a shimmering, almost magical effect as they caught and reflected the sunlight. This extravagant display was designed not just to impress but to dazzle, casting a golden glow over the entire gathering. The visual spectacle of these golden palaces set the tone for the event, highlighting the sheer scale of the extravagance on display. King Henry VIII made a dramatic entrance at the Field of the Cloth of Gold, arriving with a retinue of 5,000 people. This grand procession showcased his immense wealth and power, signaling his importance and setting the stage for the ensuing festivities. The arrival of such a vast entourage was a statement in itself, underlining the grandeur of the event and the status of the participants. Over the course of more than 2 weeks, the Field of the Cloth of Gold became a playground for the rich and powerful. The summit was a whirlwind of activities designed to entertain and impress. Daily tournaments featured knights competing in jousting and sword fighting, their armor glittering as they demonstrated their prowess. The clamor of lances and the cheers of spectators filled the air, adding to the vibrant atmosphere of competition and celebration. One of the central features of the Field of the Cloth of Gold was the sumptuous feasts that took place daily. Tables were heaped with a staggering variety of dishes and delicacies, each meal surpassing the last in its opulence and variety. The feasts were not just about the food, but also about creating an experience of indulgence and luxury. Musicians and singers performed throughout these banquets, their elaborate performances adding to the festive ambience and enchanting the guests. In addition to the lavish festivities, the two kings engaged in an elaborate game of gift-giving. Each monarch presented the other with extravagant tokens of friendship, ranging from priceless jewels to intricate artworks. This exchange of gifts was not merely a gesture of goodwill, but a competitive display of wealth and generosity. Each gift was intended to outshine the previous one, further emphasizing the rivalry between the two rulers and the lengths to which they would go to impress one another. Despite the grand gestures and the luxurious celebrations, the Field of the Cloth of Gold ultimately fell short of achieving its primary goal, strengthening the alliance between England and France. While the event succeeded in showcasing the wealth and grandeur of both monarchs, it did little to advance the diplomatic objectives for which it was originally intended. Instead, it became a symbol of Renaissance excess and royal rivalry, remembered more for its magnificence and the stories of its opulent festivities than for any lasting political impact. In retrospect, the Field of the Cloth of Gold stands as a vivid testament to the era's fascination with spectacle and splendor. It serves as a reminder of a time when the pursuit of grandeur and the desire to outshine rivals could turn a diplomatic event into a legendary showcase of extravagance and excess. Finally, we can't forget the infamous Roman Bacchanalia. The Bacchanalia were a series of festivals dedicated to Bacchus, the Roman god of wine, revelry, and ecstatic freedom. Originally intended as religious ceremonies to honor Bacchus, these festivals soon became infamous for their wild and uninhibited nature.
Held in secret, the Bacchanalia were characterized by excessive drinking, exuberant dancing, and hedonistic orgies. During these secretive gatherings, people from all walks of life, both men and women, regardless of social status, came together to partake in the revelry. The atmosphere was one of absolute abandon, where the usual constraints of Roman society seemed to dissolve under the influence of Bacchus's intoxicating presence.
As the Bacchanalia gained notoriety, they began to attract the suspicion of Roman authorities. Rumors circulated that these festivals were more than just wild parties. Some believed that the Bacchanalia were breeding grounds for conspiracies against the state, where rebellious plots were hatched and where public morals were being severely corrupted. The secretive nature of the gatherings and the extreme behaviors observed led many to suspect that these festivals were fostering dangerous cult-like practices. In 186 BCE, concerned about the potential for unrest and the erosion of social order, the Roman Senate took drastic action by outlawing the Bacchanalia. The authorities feared that the festivals posed a threat to the stability of Rome, with their chaotic and unrestrained activities undermining the established social norms. Despite the official ban, the legacy of the Bacchanalia endured. They came to symbolize the excesses of Roman life and highlighted the ongoing tension between state control and personal freedom. The tales of these extravagant festivals continued to captivate imaginations, serving as a reminder of the intense struggle between societal order and individual indulgence in ancient Rome. History is filled with legendary parties that not only marked significant moments in time, but also showcased the power, creativity, and sometimes the downfall of civilizations. From Admiral Russell's absurd punch bowl to the deadly bal des Ardents, from Belshazzar's arrogance to the Roman Bacchanalia, these parties have left an indelible mark on the historical imagination. Whether through excessive drinking, feasting, or elaborate displays of wealth, these events highlight the extremes to which people have gone in the name of celebration. They serve as a reminder that, for better or worse, parties throughout history were often more than just gatherings. They were reflections of the societies that threw them, complete with all their glories and flaws. So, the next time you're planning a celebration, maybe leave the flaming costumes and sacred vessels behind, yeah? Want more wild history? Don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more legendary stories from the past. Thanks for watching.